Contemplate the workings of the inner being. Your eyes are wide open, but are you really seeing? Thank you so much. This is Cole.
My name is Ty. We are Ty Cole.
And this is Mentor in the Mirror podcast. We're talking about all things about being the mentor to yourself, what it takes to stand in front of the mirror, to take action, to take the next step, to start to really look at the lens to which you're viewing the external environment as a result of that internal environment. And there is no better person for us to talk about this with than our amazing friend Mike Koenig, who, beyond being an incredible entrepreneur, businessman, alien, epic, conscious creator, is one of the most heart-open, heartfelt, with an incredible story. So I'm really excited to have Mike here.
Yeah, Mike is one of the most authentic people that I've met in a long time, and I really appreciate how down to earth he is. So everybody, please welcome Mike Koenig to Mentor in the Mirror. What's up, brother?
Hi, how you doing?
Yay!
How you doing? Nice to be here with you.
So good to be here.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you.
Yeah, just to give anyone listening, anyone watching, a little context. Who is Mike today?
All right. Well, I think we were talking a little bit about this before we started rolling. I would say on the surface, I'm a serial entrepreneur who's built and sold businesses. I've reinvented myself. I think I'm in my 7th reinvention right now. Married almost 20 years, got a 17-year-old boy. But the other way I describe myself to my friends is I'm an alien, like you guys. and I like to permeate between the worlds of the spiritual and the physical, the seen and the unseen, that which you feel and that which you can see. And oscillate between the two. And as of right now that we're talking about this, we're right in the middle of an apocalyptic event happening worldwide. And honestly, I kind of felt like I prepared for this moment all my life. And it's an opportunity for grand evolution, re-evolution, reinvention, pivoting, if you want to use that word, kind of overused. But we've got a moment to mend our nets, compress the spring, and really rethink how we want to show up. And that's really what I'd say I'm all about, is finding ways to exist between the two worlds that we really feel now more than ever before.
Yes.
Yeah, man. I really like that, compress the spring. And that's in the work that we do, we call that a contraction. And when we do a lot of work and we do a lot of growth, we expand, and we reach out and we get all this information and we get this technology and we get these things that we do and we grow, and then we bring it back in. And then we have all of that information, we have all of that stuff, and then we actually figure the things out that we need to do next so that the spring can open back up, right? So that you can expand back out again and find whatever else you need to connect with, and then bring it back in for contraction. So for us, like, it's the universe expands and contracts. It's the breath of the universe. So that spring coming back in, man, I love the way you put that down, because it definitely describes what we call a contraction. And I think that's what the world is in right now. I mean, look at what's going on with people in their homes. Everybody's contracted in their homes. And this is an opportunity to really go within the self, see what's happening, what you want to expand back into when we have that expansion. And I think this is the first time in my life that the entire world is in a contraction, and we can all expand out at the same time and be in a really, really awesome place if we so choose.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
True that. Well, and along that same line, so everything that has existed up until this moment, I think there's, like, I've called it the phantasm of what once was, which is we've been walking around. I don't remember that. There was that movie, I See Dead People. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, Sixth Sense. Bruce Willis. Yeah.
Right on. And so there are lots and lots of businesses, lots of professions, lots of industries that have been obsolete, but they're habitual.
Yeah.
I'll give you a real life example. So up until this moment, everyone would get up, they'd go to work, they'd jump in their car, they'd da-da-da-da-da, whatever the formula was, and the ritual. And what we haven't had a time to do as the human race is an opportunity to say, hey, what's unnecessary here? What isn't practical? What is simply absurd? And what's happened right now is where everything's shut off and shut down. Many people, I won't say most or all or whatever the number is, but many people, you're cut off, you're quarantined, you're in your homes, you're not supposed to move around. And when we surface, when we emerge, there's some things that just will never start up again.
Yeah.
They were unnecessary. They were just part of the phantasm and the ritual. And in a way, this thinking must become commonplace. You will see considerably more extinctions occur on a regular basis because that's what the universe is demanding.
Yeah.
And this is the new normal. And for us as a race, as a country, as a town, as a family, and you get down into the microcosm inside the macrocosm, this is just part of a new orbit and a behavior that must become commonplace. And that I look at, and you can choose to fear it and choose terror, or you can choose to open yourself up and appreciate it as being as natural as anything else is natural. And look at it as an opportunity to blend and connect and to love and to experience it in a form of love and gratitude and connection. And again, our evolution of how we connect is even changing. Our definition of, this whole isolation and how we connect, I know right now I'm going out for walks with my wife, and we live in a not particularly populated area in San Diego where it's a neighborhood, right? But everyone's moving and walking to the other side of the road to avoid, and just imagine that being the new normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's just trippy wild. And I'm thinking about, I'm existing in the now, but I'm also thinking about, okay, a month from now, 6 months from now, 5 years from now, a year from now, what's going to be the normal?
Yeah, I mean, go ahead.
Well, so, the thing that's fascinating, and the thing we've really been inviting all of our clients, our friends into, is to also be mindful of the conditioning you are creating in your body in the avoidance of physical contact, where if you notice at the store you're leaning away from people, it's actually patterning your body to avoid contact. And that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be aware of it. It's an awareness of the conditioning being created as a new construct of isolation that will carry on long after the virus that society is experiencing is a threat to everyone, right? And it's something that, especially for children, if we are not mindful, they will actually create the idea and identity that people are dangerous in proximity, and it will fortify the virtual connection that they've already been doing on mobile devices, on technological devices, because proximity is a threat.
And when you get into that sympathetic activation out of habit, it becomes a habitual dysfunction for the body. This is a lot of what you said around things being extinct. We have to be mindful too of the things that we are creating as well,
and that we want to
and that we want to fortify. And connection is something that we as human beings, the way we've been for the past 200,000 years, is a very proximal, very familial situation where physical contact is very important in order for us to stay alive. When we are not proximal to each other, the hormones that we generate and that we put throughout our bodies changes, and it makes for a different expression of our genetics, and that can present itself in disease. So we have to be mindful of what we're creating in the habit of, we found in the work that we do with people, when people have scoliosis, chances are they've been in a situation where they've leaned away from their parents, when kids develop this way. And it's a postural habit of protection that becomes subconscious and it becomes programmed into the body. And there are unlimited amounts of protection mechanisms that we can develop like this. So I'm glad you brought that, that to light, that this is the new normal. What is the new normal for the individual that's in this situation? And can we bring that to the table so that we are sharing that with each other? It's not done in silence. It's not done in isolation, not just a physical proximity, but in the knowledge space as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My gut on that is everything follows a pendulum, right? Everything's a cycle in a circle. And just as you can look at this and go, well, look at investment cycles, for example. And I'll give you a really specific one. Like I liquidated all of my stocks today. And I still came out okay, although I wasn't at the peak. And I did that because my prediction is it's going to go down. But I'm prepared for a great buy cycle. Just as what I believe will happen is we will have a conscious return to the physical and the touch. Maybe it'll come in the form of cuddle puddles or some other form of connection expression that will be the new. And I would predict that we're going to see a new form of cinema, a new form of music emerge from this. In times of transition and pain and fear and compression cycles and expansion cycles, there is going to be the emergence of a new species. And that species comes in many, many forms. It just is natural.
Yes. I love that you said that, because that is, most people can look back on their life at the gifts that came out of traumatic or stressful environments or events. It doesn't make it easier when you're in it, to remember that the gifts will be there. You just may not have the perspective yet. The key to consciously creating your life is being aware you're actively creating it in any environment, regardless of where the emotions are. It's knowing you can be consciously aware while in fear, while in other things, and making adjustments to ensure vitality and the experiences that you want to have, right? And the focus that you desire to have. And I think that right now, so many people are only choosing the extremes as far as the experience. It's either, this doesn't faze me at all, or this phases and destroys me. And there's still this dance of all the other possibilities, that you can not be in fear and at the same time be in excitement and still be afraid for a loved one. Like the sheer fact that all of those things can't exist at different times and that we have to have a definitive choice, like it doesn't work in this world to have definitive objectives, definitive outcomes.
Yeah, certain outcomes are.
Right. So it's, what do you want to actively create? And we have chosen to create. And that does not mean we have not responded when people have needed support, when we've had suicides in the last week and a half, when we've had psychosis and breakdowns from friends or clients, and we can be with that too. And it's the reminder to bring someone back to the conscious awareness of, do you remember when something happened before in your life and you found the gifts? Let's find that now so that we don't spend the next 10 years recovering from this. That's why it's so important to be aware right now.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. No, this is a fascinating moment, and I have a son who's 17.
Who's wonderful.
You've talked to him. Yeah. And watching him experience this, I just said, we were talking about money 2 days ago. I took him out for a big walk, and we're walking around, and I was talking about inflation and how our country's printing a whole bunch of money right now, devaluing any savings, any currency we have. In other words, the illusion of security that you have if you think you have wealth is just that. Mm-hmm. And how we cope and we compensate, and his experience of reality right now and currency and wealth and money is going to forever be changed. Who knows what's going to happen worldwide, and that permeates into our consciousness as well. In other words, what has value? And us as people, we know that the world we live in right now, in a gig society, in incredible distance between what is wealthy and what is poor. Mm-hmm. I don't have the opinion that it's bad necessarily. Like wealth gaps, the story is that it's bad. And at the same time, there's just a distinction in what has value now. And again, back to what is the new normal. And I don't have a conclusion that goes along with this other than it is an ongoing conversation that I have in my head right now in this new realm of I'll give you another example. So there's a lot of wildlife that's moving around just in the past month that's returning and showing up in places where it hasn't been for a long time, despite the fact that there's climate change going on and whatever. And the world, the planet, and people have a tendency to heal when they have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow.
Right, totally. All these things cycling around simultaneously is a unbelievable opportunity to compress a lot of physical, emotional, energetic energy into potential.
Yes.
And what is going to emerge from that, except I think multiple species, and I'm not talking about animal species or human species necessarily, I'm talking all species,
mm-hmm.
The seen and the unseen.
Right.
And as painful as it's going to be for some people, and I don't say this there's no levity in what I'm about to say, but there's a cleansing that is occurring. And it positively sucks for someone who has no resources and is suddenly resourceless in a unforgiving environment, whether that's a country or a city or whatever it may happen to be, with no safety net whatsoever. I feel horribly. And, again, we have a responsibility to our fellow men and women. And this is, again, if you can look at it with dread and pain, or really sink in and feel into this thing and allow yourself to be pulled through a new evolution. And giving birth is a painful experience, right?
Yeah.
And that is, again, metaphorically how I look at this moment.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you, and I agree. And I think that as we move forward as human beings, it's time for us to also shift how we see death. Death is not the end of things, and the attachment that we've had to life and how we peg life is really important. There's an arrogance to humanity in that it wants to be everlasting in this form right now, in this body right now. It's when I was out in the backyard the other day, we were cleaning up our yard, and there are several anthills, and I kicked over an anthill, and fire ants started jumping out, and they're jumping around, and they're reprocessing everything right there, and like their world got disrupted, and they all gathered together and they reassembled the anthill, and I think it's amazing that we overlook the minutia. Well, we consider it minutia, the microscopic or the microcosmic situations that are happening on our planet. There is death and life ongoing all the time. When someone smacks a mosquito, right, and the mosquito dies, it is death. This is the cycle of life on our planet. And the bodies of these insects, when they die, they get recycled and they get re-put into the planet. And human beings are the only animals on this planet that embalm and bury their bodies in boxes and prevent them from being reintegrated into the planet. And if we stop the reintegration of our bodies into the planet starts to, the balance of resources start to shift. The energy of the planet starts to shift. All of this stuff starts to shift in different ways. And as human beings are dying from this virus, it's actually resetting a lot of energetics on the planet. As we slow down and we are isolated and we're in our homes, we're using less machinery. We're doing less stuff. People are out or inside in the space, and they're stressed, but they're not as stressed as when they go to work. So the whole carbon dioxide footprint that's happening, we talk a lot of shit about about cars and trucks making carbon footprints. Human beings, our carbon footprint is crazy. There's 7.5 billion of us. So as we've been slowing things down, the fish have been populating, the birds have been populating, the insects have been populating, all of the animals, the hunting is off. All of this stuff is shifting back into a space where the planet can realign itself. And I think it's wonderful. And when we see death as a part of us all moving into another space, we can let go of the idea that it is a loss. There's a life cycle to everything on this planet. And I don't think that humans should be exempt from that life process, man. So, I really dig where you're going with this is the hard truth of things, man. People are going to die, and there is a cleansing that's happening on the planet. I mean, it's always happening,
yeah.
But we have been doing our best to thwart it as much as possible and fight against it instead of allowing things. Okay, let's have some longevity here. Let's flow with the planet so that we all have longevity without forcing the subject. We don't have to force it into place, man. I really dig that perspective. What are you saying?
Well, there's just not. People don't want anyone to die, but there's very support for people to live, and there's a really big difference between the two. People are living longer than they used to, but they are not having more vitality than they used to.
Sure.
So the last 20 years of their life that has been extended has also been a further decomposition of the organism. And so it's like, what good is that extra 20 years really as far as the human's experience? And until we really take responsibility for the vitality and the support of life, of optimization, of really embracing and embodying the experience of being alive in this body, to just focus on people not dying is an attachment issue for a lot of humans, where it's like they'll keep someone on life support for years.
Bro.
And, when that's them refusing to let go. And I'm not saying there aren't miracles and cases and all of that stuff, and every person has their own decision to make. But I know Todd can speak as an emergency medicine nurse in New York City for years, how often the family's inability to let go forced a human organism to not die. That is not living.
And it's not, man. I've dealt with a lot of bodies that have come in that have been in nursing homes that are in pretzels. People are literally in pretzels on ventilators with a tracheostomy and being fed through tubes, and there's no quality of life, holes in their hips and in their sacrum, and loaded up with antibiotics all the time to keep them from dying.
And we're talking now about people in ventilators dying in hospitals, and it's like, this is how it's always been. You're seeing that macro of what is always there, that now you can't hide from it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. These are harsh concepts. And again, I will open this by saying I say none of this with any levity whatsoever. And I have my dad, for example, right now is on his way out. He hasn't been touched by the virus, but he's definitely he can't speak any longer, and he's in the midst of he's historically just an incredibly vital man. And as we pass through this experience, as what you were describing, being able to see yourself with objectivity and see yourself as an eternal being that is a temporary visitor inside a vehicle we call a body is not a easy to comprehend concept for most people.
True indeed.
Nor easy to accept. And we all have certain degrees of fear that we work on through our work, right? And being able to let that go.
Mm-hmm.
But I won't say that, the majority of people are probably would not resonate with this message right now of shortened and the quality of that. But these are things we must address, especially as our population increases and our ability to extend life. It could be indefinitely. If you've seen the Netflix series Altered Carbon, for example.
We did see it.
Having the stack in a sleeve and the notion of being able to store consciousness for an indefinite period of time and restore it in a biological body, kind of Blade Runner style. And we are on the edge of new levels of consciousness for sure. And also, as far as we know, we exist inside this biological consciousness that we call real, which is energetic, chemical energetic, but soon maybe purely digital. And we, as far as we know, we're in an analog space right now. All of these things are being tested. Again, at this time, it's so interesting that it's happening right now, that physically we're tested, our planet is being tested. We've got a powerful new virus. I can't help but look at this and say there's got to be a fascinating pattern that we don't have the ability to see with total clarity right now in front of us. And it must be absolutely obvious and, a movement that is a recognizable pattern. But I'm too close to it or too far from it to see it fully and completely. And maybe that would be the test of sanity as well.
Yeah, you can't see that you're in a fishbowl if your face is up against the glass, right?
True that.
Yeah. So you gotta move back into the center of the bowl and kind of look around, or get out the bowl and in see. It's hard to see it when your face is up against it. Like Cole always says, if you're trying to look at the TV and your face is against it, all you're gonna see is pixels.
Yeah, you can't see the picture. If you get too close to a television or you go to see a movie and you sit in the front row, you can't get the full picture. And so it is that it's going to take some distance from where we currently are and every phase of it, because regardless of the impact of the virus itself on the physical impact, the epigenetic impact is going to last generations, because for some people that fear is going to perpetuate and grow. For others, it's going to cause it to finally shift and to realize the truth of what they want to ascribe to or participate in. And how many people on this planet were saying, man, I wish I didn't have to go to work tomorrow. I would do anything to not work at this job anymore. Well, now it's here. What are you going to do about it? Right? Or you said, hey, God, universe, whatever, give me a sign that I should be, of what I should be doing. Well, now it's knocking on everybody's head. So what are you going to do?
Yeah, man.
Is the, a movement. So think about it like this. Here's a pattern that I think most of us could acknowledge, which is virtualization. We have been forced into a virtualization. Right now, we are communicating through Zoom, for example. A significant percentage of the country / planet is using some kind of a digital video platform. And many industries we know are just completely decimated, and then many are not. I know I talked to plenty of people who are like, oh, I can't believe how stress-free I am, how much more stuff I'm getting done, how much more productive I am. But if you take a step back from this and say humanity is being virtualized, we're very close to being digitized, much more of us. Our world already exists inside our mobile phone. This is just like another stage and another step in this rapid shift. Again, permeating, I like to call it permeating the membrane between the physical and the seen and the unseen, the digital, the spiritual, the energetic realms. And I think this is a taste of what we are as a human race.
Hmm. Yeah,
Is that too obscure and odd, or you grooving with me here?
Yeah. I'm definitely in it with you, man. We
No, I mean, I can always say something. I mean, that's, that never really goes away.
So I think that might be well, go ahead. Say what you're going to say, because I have notion.
No, I would let go. Because mine's going to take us, mine is going to shift us just slightly from this topic.
All I was just going to say is, what matters most now is, what are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
You can sit here and mope and moan and groan, or you can say, thank you for this gift. I see you. I see this opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I choose to improve and increase my capabilities, to use this time to amplify my energetic state, my physical state, acknowledge and recognize that I can get through anything. And when I say I, that's the collective I, not me. And I accept this as being the new normal. I choose to evolve and grow and realize that the demand upon me, meaning us, the we, is to evolve faster and to not take it personally. And no, none of this is about us or me, but we have a responsibility to the we now more than ever before, where we've seen social constructs breaking. And what we know to be true right now is, no country could really protect its people from what occurred. And we are also operating in a much tighter economy and ecosystem than ever before. And to have to ever desire or want another individual or a country to fail, you've got to realize how tight the ecosystem we operate within really is, and how really responsible we are to one another. And I don't know if that's part of the collective conversation at the moment, but I do think that that's something really, really important to examine, especially now.
Yeah.
So as we emerge from this, what I would just say, there are going to be more fortunes made as we move from this than ever before in human history. Trillionaires will start emerging, and more trillion-dollar companies, and it's going to happen faster and faster. The notion of expansion and abundance, I think, is going to be a natural outcome of this, and how we behave and how we move. Those who absorb and start seeing these patterns and preparing and predicting for them are going to be the new norm. And so I would just say, go inside, feel through this, and ask yourself, where can I serve and where is the opportunity inside this? And just like in the Great Crash during the Great Depression, there was a massive consolidation of wealth. And that is going to happen here as well. And hopefully, I hope that people as a whole behave ethically and morally, because there's going to be a lot of pain and there's going to be an enormous amount of opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So to open up for that and to see it and do it in an ethical way that's conscious and responsible inside this ecosystem, those are the folks who are going to be seen as the true heroes.
Yeah.
I also see a new hero emerging from whatever this muck is. I don't know who that is yet. I haven't really gotten a smell or a taste of it, but I do anticipate it's going to happen in ways we can't predict as usual, but it should be fascinating and supremely interesting. And I think having a mindset of fascination is going to be, and wonder is where power, true power is. One of my mentors and guy I do a podcast with, Gay Hendricks, says one of the best things you can do is take a moment and go, you're oscillating both halves of the brain, and wonder. So if you wonder your way through this and manifest the new normal, the new opportunity.
Yeah, I learned that from Gay in The Big Leap.
The difference of approaching something with wonder and fascination and creativity like a child would, right? Like the way that they view things changes the way that an entrepreneur, a thought leader, or an innovator, or a high performance person, it changes how their body functions within this process. What we're seeing is there are a lot of people stepping forward to make big shifts for their audience, for their companies, for humanity. They're still carrying a weight of obligation and responsibility, which in my perspective is an old energy. It's not a responsibility or obligation that is a weight, because the physical body will break down from the weight of carrying something like that. When you approach with wonder, let more of that science mind, more of that innovative mind, it isn't for the purpose of being the hero. It's for the purpose of the creative expansiveness of it, and trusting that as we expand, as we uplift, all the boats rise with us, right? And it's that the driver for someone with purpose versus obligation is exponentially different in the physiology. And that's really where our focus is with people right now, is what's driving the engine? What's the fuel of the vehicle that you're driving? Because if you stay in the obligatory or carrying the weight on your shoulders, it's going to ultimately lead to a health crash, because we get into that hard, we call it Puma energy, the focus, the agility, the drive. We're still doing it from obligation, which is a weight, which is still coming from old beliefs that either I'm the only one that can, I'm the only one that should, or for value I have to, versus that wonder. So it's like when you just consider, like when you said it, the difference of expression in the face, the difference of the energy in the body, it's more of it almost starts from gratitude that you can even wonder.
Nicely done. I've got to let that one soak.
Yeah, like that. Let it soak for a second, bro.
Yeah, those are big thoughts. While you were doing that, by the way, I brought up a different background. I don't know if I told you this, but we're launching a podcast called The Big Leap with Koenigs.
Nice.
And really digging into some of these big ideas and big thoughts. Gay is quite a psychonaut. Also, done a lot of deep work.
He's something else, man.
The stuff that we are like, for us, the expansiveness of what's possible from here, it's like the bumpers have been removed of the old frameworks and the old rules. And I always was kind of the rebel within the framework, or finding the, the side door. And now all of a sudden that wonder, that excitement for me is like, wait, there's no one here to stop me. And what is possible? And that exploration to me makes it's play. It's like we did all the hard work, and now it's permission to play with the creation.
It's interesting. I'm stoked that you're doing that with Gay Hendricks, man. Gay Hendricks, that book, The Big Leap, was a game changer for me. And my friend Merrill Aaron, big shout to Merrill Aaron, I love you, baby.
And she sent both of us the book.
She sent us that book, and that was the book that I was reading when I was leaving nursing. And I kept saying, I got to get out of here. And I broke my back, and I made this leap to leave nursing. And I bought that book for 10 or 15 people, and I think she's bought it for like 30 people.
It's true.
Bro. Like, it's ridiculous. That book is a game changer. So for
Vincent Pedri's book, Happy Gut. Those are the two she sends more than anything else.
I'm not surprised that y'all are doing this, man, and I'm stoked that you are. And I'm not surprised that somebody like you, a progressive thinker, has teamed up with this cat. So I can't wait to see what you have with this, man. This is exciting news for me. Thanks for sharing, man.
And I love podcasts.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. Well, we're doing audio and video. He comes down to the studio here in person every month, and we create a batch of them. But he has a new book coming out called Conscious Luck.
Nice, love it.
And so it's the sequel to The Big Leap, and it's all about manifesting luck and how to create an energetic situation or circumstance to become and be lucky. And that is a fascinating word because historically, you know, if we just kind of look at it in the context of what we're talking about here, right now, to be lucky simply means you are directly in the way of great manifestation, possibility, potential, wealth, and growth. And all of those combined. And we're led to believe that luck is, in fact, something random that happens to us. And the truth is, you can create a situation, a circumstance, relationships, an environment that not only welcomes it, but cultivates it and creates it. And it's something that you can harvest and not manipulate necessarily. Even the word manipulate is looked at in a bad way, and it really isn't. But instead, I think of it as a cultivation process instead, and something that you can stack the odds in your favor. And anytime you hear really, really wealthy, famous people, the majority of them say, yep, huge part of what happened here was just timing and luck. And yeah, once in a while it happens, you know, accidentally. But those who it happens to over and over and over again, it's not an accident. They've either consciously or unconsciously mastered the art of luck making. And that's really what the book ultimately is about. But it's been super interesting going deep with Gay on this because he's clearly spent a lot of time on it. He started writing this book, I think, over 10 years ago, and it wasn't until someone came up who had an earlier manuscript, said, I want to finish this, and I'll finish it with you, and I'll take care of it. And Gay's like, okay. So that is our intention with the Big Leap podcast, is to create environments for this to happen. So it's very, very, I didn't even think about it until we were going down the path here, how relevant this is to this conversation today.
Yeah, man.
So it's beautiful.
Yeah, everything happens in order. It's not luck that this popped up. Right?
Well, and yet there's so many elements with exactly what you're saying of how we're even acquainted. You know, like just the short version, the only way that I even met you was because I entered a raffle at South by Southwest to win a free ticket to Health Entrepreneur FX by Keith and Michelle Norris. So when I went to put my name in the bowl, we had just filed bankruptcy like maybe a year earlier. And I said, all right, I'm supposed to be at this. I just don't have the money in my hand, but I'm meant to be there. And I said it to the woman that was standing at the counter, and she just kind of laughed, was like, all right. Turns out it was Michelle who was standing there at that moment. I ended up winning, and she was shocked by it, but that's what made her remember me, because I said that. And then we crossed paths 3 times in the same week. I got referred to Paleo FX or her and Keith and Michelle from completely unrelated ways. And so is that luck? Because I'm actually one of the luckiest people I know. And it's also, I believe, and I continue to show up. And I think my perspective is my presence, not my physicality, but my presence with a person to pause, to connect for that moment. And this new evolution is going to require that, because people can feel that, and they will have been so starved that that moment you realize you can impact on such a deep level that when I said that and she saw it happen, she was like, well, who's that? Right? So it was like we wouldn't even be having this conversation if I wouldn't have put that paper into the bowl to win a ticket to go to a conference.
It's very interesting. So here's what I learned from Gay, and I don't remember the exact story, but his first connection with luck was when he was a boy, and he was at a place, and there was a raffle there, and this guy who was a friend of his says, "I'm going to win." He goes, "I'm lucky. I'm going to win." And the guy won, and Gay was like, "Wow, that's amazing." And from that moment forward, he decided that he was lucky too.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
I've watched her do stuff like that, man.
We'll go up to a spinning wheel thing, at a carnival, and I'll go, I'm going to win. And the person's like, all right.
And every time, man, it's crazy.
And it happened even I'd go to a work softball game and not play. I hadn't played softball in, 10, 15 years. And I was like, oh no, I'm going to win. I'm going to make it, I'm going to shoot. I'm going to hit the ball and there's no way you're going to get to me. And people took it as arrogance. It's actually that I believe it. And it's a confidence that without attachment, because it's okay if I don't. It's not a problem. It's play. That is the wonder that has kept me alive my entire life. That possibility is excitement and hope and thrilling. And to me, that's what this is. That's what makes everything worth experimenting. It's true. I found him in Vegas, of all places.
Bam. Tell you what.
Slot machine.
Is that true?
We met in Vegas.
You met in Vegas, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at Caesar's Palace.
And neither one of us like Vegas, gamble, or whatever.
No, me either. I find it endlessly fascinating place, but it ain't my
for about 24 hours.
It's not my cup of tea, man.
No, I find it spiritually harsh.
Vegas is another macro of, the side of people's side of themselves that they deny, starve, and create dysfunctional patterns. And that is what we're just seeing on an even greater external level. And it's not that there's anything wrong with any of it. We're seeing a lot of truth that is really harsh. And I'm so grateful for your perspective. I'm so grateful for your path and everything that you've endured, everything you've created, everything that you show up for. I adore you. I love laughing with you and playing with you and being silly with you.
Your story is epic, man. The stuff that you've been through and that you've endured is incredible, man. And I think it rides alongside with the stuff that we've been through and all the bumps in the road and all this shit. And I think you're an epic person, bro. Thank you for all that you're doing for humanity and for yourself and for your fam.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man. And
thanks. Feelings mutual.
Yeah, thank you, brother. So can you tell people where they can find you, where to look for you?
What's coming up?
Absolutely. Pretty easy to find. My website is MikeKoenigs.com, so it's MIKE. Actually, the easy way to remember it is go to paidforlife.com. That's actually the easy to remember domain, and that'll bring you right there. Podcast number 1 with Dan Sullivan, genius, fascinating sage, is capabilityamplifier.com. And then the Big Leap podcast, which, depending on when this is released, will be up very shortly. We've got a bunch of episodes in the can, but I just say check it out. If it's not up, check again. It'll be up soon.
And I'll make sure I update the show notes once. Okay. If this is up before, I'll just update it in the show notes.
Great. Yep. And then beyond that, I'm easy to find on social and all that stuff. But lots of free content on YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn and all that. But wow, thank you. You guys are awesome. This is a fun show. And I can't wait to see how you manifest your next incarnation too, because
it's already begun.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
You're in a fascinating place, right time, right message, right actions, activities, and the world needs to be expanded and spend more time in a space, in a state of wonder and co-creation, manifestation, and you've got the ability to permeate these worlds and pierce that membrane.
Yeah, man. So
just the tip for today, though.
just the tip, baby.
A little bit extra lube. So our podcast is called Mentor in the Mirror, and we like to ask our guests if there's one thing that you could do, that you could tell people to look in the mirror and tell themselves, so that they
an affirmation, a message for themselves,
whatever. Because we believe that the greatest mentor, the person that you can teach you the most about yourself, the person that knows the most about you, is in that mirror. To get that mentor to align with whatever you want in your life, what would you tell them?
Wow. Here's what I tell my wife all the time, and it took me a long time to be able to say this and truly believe it, which is settle the F down. Everything's going to be okay, baby. Everything's going to be okay. And I couldn't say that with an authentic heart, because I operated in a space of nonstop trauma, panic, and anxiety for almost my entire life. It took forever to extricate that, and a lot of deep work. And everything's going to be okay, baby.
Yeah,
I love it.
Settle the fuck down. Yeah, man.
I love it.
I love it, brother. Thank you, man. I'm looking forward to connecting with you more, and we'd love to have you back on here at a later time. That would be awesome to get into some more depth, man.
We'll talk about more life, more death, more reinvention. I'm all in.
More wonder.
Ooh. All right.
Exactly.
Well, for everybody listening or watching, we love you tremendously. We know you love this, so please rate, review, subscribe,
share it with a friend, tag a friend in the video. This is the message that we must spread if we're looking to grow. So we love you so endlessly and completely. And as always, we are Ta Cole. I'm Cole.
I'm Ta.
This is Mentor in the Mirror podcast. Be free.